All right, hello, Honors 100. To start off with a few housekeeping notes. So first off, just a reminder, there's that course survey that you should have received an email about from the Honors College. I really strongly encourage folks to fill that out at your earliest opportunity, especially with a small class. If a few people forget or choose not to complete it, it automatically kind of reduces the pool of people down to 4 or 5 responses, which isn't as useful for both my own feedback and for the Honors College's reference. So I really appreciate if everyone can take the time to complete that survey. Ordinarily, I would have given you some class time to do it. I apologize that we're not able to do that. So I know this is coming out of your own time and that you are all busy, but really appreciate it as just kind of a follow-up to most of the semester being wrapped up at this point. If you could please complete those surveys. I also wanted to note, so the creative nonfiction pieces, the due date has now passed for those, obviously. I believe I have all of them in, so kudos to everyone for working hard and getting those in. I'm really excited to have a chance to read them. I've done a little flip through some of the ones that came in early, and they look like really neat projects. I appreciate people taking to heart the opportunity to kind of make this your own and do something that's meaningful to you. So I'm excited to see what everyone came up with. Only 2 of you at this point took me up on the opportunity to turn in one specific page from the assignment and a recording of you reading from or kind of discussing your work on that. So I'm gonna extend the deadline for that to Thursday at 11:59 p.m. So if all goes as planned, I'm posting this on Wednesday a day early, so you have a full day before that would be due. Or if you're watching this on the actual official class day on Thursday, you have a few hours before this is due. I think it's a relatively simple task to ask of you, again, just to send me one separate page or so of content that you kind of want to share with the class, and to record yourself either via audio or video reading from it and discussing your choices. I think it's a relatively small task, and again, I'll add up to 3 points to your score for this assignment if you choose to do that. I think I mentioned this previously, but in full transparency, students who've done this in the past tend to end up with earning full credit for this assignment. That's not to say that you can't still earn an A for this assignment and do just fine without having submitted the work for the extra few points, but just to kind of shore up your score on this assignment to finish the semester strong, and to kind of shore up that you don't have to do a revision of this assignment for later on. I think it's just kind of good practice to take advantage of the opportunity. And more to the point, I think it's really great to be able to share your work with your classmates. And so for sure, for Tuesday's class of next week, we'll dedicate some time to sharing student work. If we get a lot of responses in between now and 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, I might have that bleed over into our very last class session as well. So we'll kind of play that part by ear. But thank you for considering it. And thanks especially to those students who already did take advantage of that. I think that would be really a good experience for the class to see your work. In terms of reading response journals, I posted about this in our last discussion thread, but just to reinforce the point in case there's any remaining confusion or questions. Again, if you have submitted up to 17 journal entries and earned a complete on those, you have met your obligation for that aspect of the course. So you can expect full credit if you've submitted 17 entries that have received a mark of complete and no reservations from me, or kind of saying that you didn't really meet expectations, please do more next time. If you're one of the many of you who have just earned a complete with no comments or only complimentary comments, you should be in great shape for that. I still welcome you to complete a reading response journal for our last reading for that last day of class. But if you've already met that obligation of 17, then it's kind of gravy at this point, right? You're welcome to do it. I think it can be useful for reflection, but for grading purposes, you really are all set there. Okay, so for the remainder of today's class, though, so I have shared a file. I uploaded it to our class files. I believe I can link to it directly in the discussion thread, so I'm going to try to do that as well. But the file name is just, let me pull this up here, is just script on campus diversity .pdf. So I'm going to encourage you to read that on your own. Basically, this is a transcript of a radio show where it's basically someone kind of talking, interviewing people, kind of getting their feedback about something. It's the title of the file itself and the title of the article kind of allude, it relates to campus diversity and kind of representations of it and how colleges kind of use that to promote and kind of sell themselves or to create an image of themselves. Or I guess more broadly, some of the questions it deals with are what do these things actually mean, or why did people do them, and what is or is not ethical in the choices that college and universities make in these areas. So I'm going to encourage you to read through it. It's a pretty quick read. I expect most of you can probably digest it within a 10-minute or so period. But the follow-up questions I want to raise are, what argument is being made? And you can argue there's more than one argument even, but what argument or arguments do you see being made here? Is there information from this script that surprises you or kind of interests you in ways you hadn't really thought of previously? And there's an argument here to be kind of sympathetic to promotional materials that may not, at least on the face of them, be 100% honest. And I am genuinely curious how students feel about that, because I think that it is a deceptively complex issue. One of the reasons why I like this this transcript or the script is that I think it does grapple with it and sort of pose more than one point of view, even if I would suggest that the people who produced the interview overall do have a specific point of view of their own. And then I'm curious if we can translate what we see in this write-up to other parts of life. Because, well, I guess it's sort of a leading question, but I think we can translate what we see represented in this script to other parts of life. And I'm curious, what parts of life are those? How do we see similar themes, issues, concerns, ethical quandaries kind of brought up in other aspects of our lives? But okay, that's going to be it for me for this time. So I'm keeping this video relatively short, in part because I know I am asking you to do some extra reading on this class time. So to mitigate that a little bit, I'll try to cap this video here. But please do participate in the discussion thread as always. And please do let me know if you have questions about the reading or about any of the housekeeping items that I addressed at the top of the video. All right, thanks everyone, and I will see you next time.